Life is sweet. Let it sweep you off your feet.
Hi, this is Allie and Find Your Joy. And oh, what a treat today. We have a powerhouse of a woman, Nicole Roth, aka Becky Beech. Nicole is Becky Beech, the wrestler with 365 Wrestling. And I am really excited to hear all about how you got into this and share this with our listeners. Nicole, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited too. Briefly, for people don't probably know this yet really about me, but my son and grandson got into wrestling, and that'll be another story for another day. But that's how we started going to wrestling. I didn't, when my kids were into wrestling when they were younger, I didn't pay it a lot of attention. I wasn't drawn to it. And then I went to watch my son and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So that's how I found out about wrestling now. What about you? How the heck do you get into it as a over 19-year-old woman?
Well, actually, super, super similarly to you. So my now husband, but then the guy I was going on third date with,
right,
told me that he said, there's something that's really important to me, and I'd like you to experience it one time. But if you don't like it, then that's okay. You don't need to go ever again, but you should know that it's going to be a part of my life. And I went, okay, I'm not entirely certain what I'm getting into, but let's do it. Let's see. He hadn't told me that it was wrestling. He just sort of prefaced it with this. And then he says, we're going to a live wrestling show. And again, I sort of went, okay. And then my brain flashed through all the times that I'd made fun of, men running around in their underwear and all this stuff and just the over the top antics and, oh, it's fake. It's this, it's that. And then I went, and I am a former theater geek. I spent most of my time, I did classically trained singing. I was on stage. I performed in musicals. I love musicals. And the minute that the show started, I was like, oh, this is theater. This is performing arts. This is magic. And it's participatory theater. So I'm also a really big Rocky Horror Picture Show fan. So like anything where I can yell back at people is my favorite thing in the whole wide world. So I was hooked immediately. A while back, I found photos from the first night that I'd ever seen wrestling, and you can see my arms crossed, kind of like face of like, I'm not really sure for like the first match. And then afterwards, there's me just like smiling, laughing, like yelling things back at people. And I was hooked. That was in 2018. Shortly thereafter, we just started going to more and more shows, and then sort of fell away from it. My husband had a traumatic brain injury, ended up with a concussion, so we sort of had to pull away from the world for quite a while, and then 2020 happened. And 2020 was a year of just, everybody knows, just insanity, right? Like, and what we needed more than anything else was the world became so real. Everything was real. Everything felt real. You couldn't watch a TV show that was based in some fake world without having it based somewhere in reality. And I remember to myself, I said, I need something that's a full, true, real escape. Like something that's just like absolutely nothing about it is real. And I remember wrestling. And I said to my husband at the time, I said, can we just watch wrestling? Can we just find wrestling on TV and put it on? Because it's the storylines they're not, there's a big conversation about fake, not fake, all that sort of stuff, but the storylines are made up, and it's classic good guy, bad guy, who comes out on top, right? But there's nothing that's really based in reality, right? There's no this person whose politics are this versus this person whose politics are this. It's just, this is a bad guy, this is a good guy. Who do you want to win? Like who's gonna win? How long is it gonna take them to win? And that to me was like, it was everything I needed in that moment. And with that, we started going to live shows again, and it clicked on me while I was watching Liza Hall wrestle up in Campbell River for maybe 40 people, and I was watching her give this amazing performance for 40 people, right? And this is somebody who performs regularly for, over 600 people and
Right.
travels around the world wrestling, right? And I thought to myself, I think I could do this, and I think I could have fun doing this. So I approached Mike Besher, who's the trainer up in Campbell River, and I just sort of asked, "Can I try this out?" And two years later, here I am.
Oh my gosh. And you're so like it's just, to me, it's just fascinating. Like the athleticism is like I think I knew, I mean, I remember the Hulk Hogan's and the Randy Macho Man Savage, like I remember these people. I can remember thinking like they're built and things like that. But to watch it live and to see the athleticism and just how it all plays out, I was blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like you said, okay, maybe it's not real, but it's theater, it's acting. And when they are crashing, that's real. When they're jumping and flipping, that's real. Whatever storyline is behind that, I love that you put it rightfully where it belongs with theater and entertainment, because then it isn't really about fake anymore. When I go to a movie, I guess I could say it's fake, but that's not the point of it. The point is for us to get caught up in the story. That's the whole point of it. And that's the point of this. I love that you pointed that out, because that is so much of it. So I'm going to ask this. So around what age were you when you started doing this? Because you had said to me, like, you're not, I can see 15-year-olds doing this, but now me, I'm much older. Like I'm in my 60s, man. I trip and it hurts. When I'm watching you, like you guys are lifting people over your head. Yeah. Like women and men are combating, and it's smashing against things, and it's like, holy crap, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah. And training to do it hurts. And hitting that mat, the ring in and of itself, the ring is just steel, wood, and foam covered by a vinyl or canvas mat, right? So it's all in how we've trained to take it, but there is no part of it that I would go, oh, well, it's a walk in the park. It's lovely. It feels like you're falling on a pillow. Like, no, like absolutely not. But we are trained to do it. We start small and build up to some of those big moves that you see. So I started much later than most people start with this. So all of my sort of compatriots who started training with me were kind of 19 to like their mid 20s.
Right.
I started so I'm 37 now, and I started 2 years ago. So I was 35 when I started.
Right.
Yeah.
When I'm thinking that, it's not like, 35, that's like 30 years younger than me. It's young, but it's not young for a person just starting to do that kind of athleticism and that degree of getting tossed around. So let's talk a little bit about Becky Beech. How did you come up with her? Who is she? Tell us a little bit about who she is and who she is to you.
Yeah. Becky and I are the same. We're here to participate. Becky is all the parts of me that I can't always bring out. In my day job, I'm a program director for a local nonprofit. So Becky is me turned up to 20. So all of that enthusiasm that you see in the ring, this sort of Labrador Retriever enthusiasm of like, just let me be in there. That's me. Becky started out as sort of an idea of being an entitled millennial. So I grew up in the era, and Becky also then grew up in an era where everybody got a trophy. All you had to do was show up and you got a trophy. And so there's a part of Becky that feels like just by showing up, I deserve a ribbon, but also you do too. Like, we all deserve a ribbon because we're all here. And isn't that amazing, right? And at the same time, there are days where Becky shows up and Becky says, okay, I'm here. Like, now give me my ribbon. I don't actually want to, like, this is as much as you get. You maybe travel all the way to a small town, and this is what you get. So it really depends on but Becky's always here to participate. She's always there to try. She's always but she also expects to get something from it.
Okay.
And when she doesn't get what she wants from it, you might see Becky get mad.
Okay.
I started with an idea that Becky was sort of 10 years away from becoming a Karen. So she's sort of right on that cusp.
She's a Karen in training.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm always sort of on that cusp of like, when is that gonna, like, when might that switch? Right.
Right.
When could, at any given moment, right? Like, somebody could do something that, stops me from participating, right? What happens when I don't get to participate? What happens when, you never know, right? Becky just, she's there to participate.
So remind me of, they're not heroes and villains. They are in, what's it called in wrestling lingo?
In wrestling lingo, we call ourselves heels and faces.
Heels and faces. So the heels are bad guys.
Yep.
Faces are the good guys.
Yep.
And so does Becky kind of land in the middle somewhere? Or is she still a face?
Almost always a face.
Yeah, that's what I thought of her too. But when you're describing this other part, I'm going, yeah, she does. She can't be a little cranky.
Yeah, always trying to be there.
Yes.
Becky, I had a realization when I was in the ring a while back. I kept running away always, right? And there was a realization as I looked at the little kids out there, as I was running away with my ribbon, and I'd taken it because I'd shown up, I'd participated. But when I look at the kids, I realized that if I'm not really trying my absolute hardest, then I'm not, I'm doing a disservice to the fans. If I keep running away, I got to stay in that ring and try to participate as best I can. So,
right. Yeah. And that's another thing that I found really amazing when I went there. It's just what a family night this is. Like, I don't know, again, I didn't realize it, but when we started going to watch our son and our grandson and all of that. Well, they all go, him and his wife and both kids go, and then their friends come. Our granddaughter's softball team pretty much comes to everyone. Our daughter now goes to it. Her friends come to it. We go, and and when we're there, I watch these little kids, and they're dressed up as their favorite person, and they're alive. They're so engaged and they're so excited. And when they get the high fives, when they come by, they're so thrilled. It was, my gosh, it's like they're just meeting like Mick Jagger or something. They're so excited. Oh, I loved that. And here's another thing that was interesting. I like grown men, and I'm talking like like my husband and my, like our age, like we're grandparents. My husband sees guys that he's in the military, right? And he sees guys that he has sailed with and stuff for years, like older adults, like our age, older adults. And these guys are in it. They are in it all the way. They are like so yelling, and they're so enthralled in it. It's like, wow, that's exciting. Yeah.
And that's when we know that we've done the job right. And it's like I said, it's participatory theater. We need that. We thrive off of it the same way that any artist thrives off of that connection with the fans and with people. And they, the energy they give to us. And it's almost as if they're playing a role too, right?
I think so. I think that's a really, really a really astute observation. Like that's exactly, especially I'm going to guess with the heels, because the people who become engaged with them and the booze and all of that stuff, and it's just great. Like they walk around and they have this whole attitude about them, and everybody's booing them and kind of getting a little bit close to their face. But I mean, maybe it goes overboard. I haven't personally seen that, but I'm sure that people get, adrenaline's a funny thing. But for the most part, it stays rather okay. I guess there's enough people around to help to make sure of that.
Yeah, I think there's enough people. I think you're exactly right. There's enough people who sort of know what's going on, as sort of, they understand what's expected and about how far they can go, right?
Right.
Because you can, like any performance, again, right? Like different performances, you can get involved in a certain way, but you would never reach out and grab the artist performing on stage, right? Like everybody knows that that's the social contract, right? Like,
yes.
And if you do, somebody's coming out pretty quick to tell you to stop doing that, right? And that's pretty similar across the board for wrestling, right? Like we're going to interact with you, but like the minute you kind of step out of line a little bit, somebody's going to tell you to
yeah,
stop.
that needs to stop.
Yeah, because then it becomes unsafe, right? That's something that we can't control, right? And we need stuff that we can control.
Right, because we're talking, well, I can remember being at events where there's ladders involved. People are jumping off ladders. There's been barbed wire involved. There's things that are crashing, people getting hit. And so when you think of how much that has to be planned so that there isn't a real serious injury, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, and it's a slim margin of error for the stuff that we do. And so as much as we can, and I don't know that control is the right answer, but something, as much as we can sort of look after the variables, right?
Right.
And one of the biggest variables is the fans. So as long as they're there kind of helping to police themselves so that they know just how far they can go, then that's one less thing we have to think about.
Right.
When we're out there, because we want to give the best performance we can, right? And the best performances we can give have elements to them that really are and they're not fake, right? They're things that are very real.
Yes.
Just in a controlled-ish setting, right?
Yeah, I'm okay with the word controlled. I mean, there's times that control is if it's in a relationship and it's creepy, and that's a separate issue. But in terms of making sure that things run and are functioning in the way that they need to, and especially in a room. When I'm there and I think of like out in Souk, I'm not sure if this is correct. Souk is a larger room, so it might not seem as packed as, say, the James Bay. I can't remember what that place is called, but that the James Bay arena or whatever, that room is smaller. So maybe it seems like there's more people in there. But I'm like, when I see hundreds of people, literally hundreds of people, and me included, I have no voice when I leave there. I'm just like, it's because it's fun to scream. It's fun to do that. It's fun to be engaged that way. It's fun to boo the heels, and it's fun to cheer the faces, and it's just to watch it all and cheer for whoever you've decided is who you're cheering for at that time. It's fun, and the adrenaline in that room is very high for everyone. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's there is nothing, and this includes the times that I sang in front of sold out audiences in auditoriums. There is nothing like standing behind that curtain and listening to the crowd, or when the crowd goes quiet and they're just waiting to hear whose music is going to hit.
Oh,
And then when it's
yes.
your music and you're coming through and the crowd is just roaring, there's no feeling like it. It is the single biggest shot of adrenaline that you can get, and then afterwards to have, children and people come up to you and they want to talk to you, and they want to, yeah, it's unlike anything else I've ever experienced.
That's exciting. So now I know that you do it in James Bay and in Souk, and do you travel up island? Like, where else are the shows that? So mostly you wrestle with 365. Whoa! Shout out to 365 Wrestling. And so, where else do you go? I mean, I guess everybody does it differently, but do you travel?
Yeah,
Here.
yeah. So 365 has a whole bunch of shows booked for next year. And so we'll be in Souk on December 30th. I don't know when this show is coming out, but we'll be in Souk December 30th. And then we are going to start traveling. We'll be in Campbell River, Courtney, Quadra. We go to Parksville, we're in Duncan, we're back in Victoria again, January 20th for 2 shows this time on a Saturday. And our big thing that's happening is on February 2nd, we'll be in the First Met Fellowship Hall on Balmoral.
Oh, wow.
Downtown Victoria, and it's our biggest show yet. Tons and tons and tons of names have been added to the roster. And I think it's going to be just amazing. So you talk about the energy of hundreds of people.
Oh
this is
my
a show that
gosh.
you want to see, because that energy, we're going to blow the roof off the place.
That's going to be so exciting. And I love to see, like you said, when you started, it was like 40 people in the room.
But that was COVID for the most part. We only allowed 40 people.
Yes, exactly. Well, I was thinking that, right? And so 40 people, and now, as things have opened up and people are able to, but I think too, just even in the last year or something that I've been watching it seems like people are becoming more aware of it. The word is getting out there that not just that people are allowed to gather again, but that this is a really professionally done. These are very professionally done events, and all of you, the players in the play, the athletes who are involved in this, you really bring it. Like, this is so exciting. So where do you see, where do you see yourself going with this? Is this, I mean, you already are doing so much. Is this something that where do you go from here? Like, do you just, I'll just stop asking the question and give you a chance to answer.
Yeah. Well, 2024 is Becky's breakout year. So Woo! Exactly. I'm thrilled. I'm so excited. So in 2024, my goal is to begin sort of wrestling in other promotions around British Columbia, possibly across Canada, depending on what's sort of happening. I'd love to be able to go down south and perform in the Pacific Northwest in some of the promotions in the US. So that's this year's goal for Becky, is Becky's breakout year. I'm coming for every belt that I can find, and I'm coming to participate in a promotion near you. That's what I would like to do.
That's exciting. Yeah. What an amazing, that's an incredible goal. Like, that's a big deal. Now, so your job, how does that work around? If you're, you've got your job, and then are you able to work around that? You'll be able to keep that day gig, or like the rest of us, musicians, as we start to get more gigs, sometimes we have to give up our day gig. So like, how does that all work?
Right now it works, and I think it will continue to work. I've been really, really lucky to work with the same agency for about 13 years, so I'm able to have quite a bit of flexibility with the work that I do. I don't know that I want to give it up necessarily. And this is as much as I love wrestling, it is a passion for me. But I'm not sure that it will be ever something that can completely replace a day job for me.
Right. Yeah, no, I get that makes sense. And the one good thing about wrestling is it's typically on weekends.
Yes.
So even if you have to take one of your holidays or a flex day or whatever, and you can still make it work, well, then that's awesome. So how many days do you think you have gone on a Monday morning and you had to sit on a pillow, or it was hard to raise your arms?
Recently, I got kicked in the jaw by one Sawyer Stein, and I thought I had broken it. I was pretty certain I had broken my jaw, and I ended up on a soup diet for a week and a half, and I had to pull out of a couple of shows, but luckily no fracture. I had the CT scans, I had the X-rays, everything. No fracture, just I had dislocated it. Basically, it stretched all the ligaments out. So I don't know how people can say that that's fake when something like that can happen.
Oh yeah, no, I've been there. Now that I've been there and seen something live, it's not fake. There may be a structure around it and entertainment. Like, I love that you're comparing it to theater. And I don't know if that's even just a comparison. Maybe it's more of an explanation. Help us to understand, and that's great.
Yeah. When we talk to people who don't quite understand what wrestling is, but understand theater, we call it high impact performing arts.
High impact. Oh, I have to write that down. High impact performing arts. I love that. See, that's exactly what it is. So I love that. High impact performing arts. That's a great way for people to be able to understand a little bit more about what it is. And I would just say that if you have not been to wrestling recently, and especially when you're talking up close and personal, like for, if you're listening and you're in the Victoria area or Vancouver Island, I know a lot of listeners are, from around the globe. Check out what's local to you, because first of all, they're really affordable nights. I mean, they're like, $20-$30 or whatever it is a ticket. So it's a really affordable night. And then you can be very up close and personal. And that's a little bit hard to get any live entertainment when the people that you're going there to see are right there. You're going to be able to talk to them later. You'll get your picture taken with them, get autographs if that's what you like. You can buy some bling or whatever. There's merch to buy and things like that. So I would really encourage people, if you haven't tried this yet, I'm going to tell you that a woman that I know, she went to I know her through the music world, right? She's an amazing supporter of all things music. And I saw her post that she had gone to a wrestling night, and now she's hooked. She's like, she's going to every single one, right? She's just like, this is amazing. She's telling people, because that's what happens. If you try it, there is a good chance you're going to really like this.
There are very few people that have attended and be like, oh, it's not for me.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's the energy of the crowd. It's what you're watching. I say to everybody that, like, all of my theater friends, I'm like, you're missing out on a whole aspect of what we can do with art, because this is amazing. Yeah.
I love that you have that previous experience, because I mean, I don't know what the stats are on that, but I think most people, like my son's an athlete. A lot of the people I see are more, they likely come from that angle a little bit more, but it's beautiful that as soon as you saw it, you recognized it for that.
Yeah.
We see a ring, you saw a stage.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. 100%. I was told once that I overact too much and that I needed to tone it back a bit. And so then I was like, well, I guess acting's not for me. And then I found wrestling, and that's the perfect place for me. That's
exactly. Oh my gosh. Oh,
my English friend likened it to pantomime. If you've
Oh,
ever seen pantomime, it's
yes,
very similar
yes.
to pantomime. Yeah.
Because you need to be very dramatic and large moves and leave nothing to the imagination. You need to show people what's happening. And like you said, with wrestling, it is very much like that. There's nothing left to the imagination when someone's getting hung upside down or swung around or bashed into a pole. You can see it, like, you, even before it happens, everybody's face is happening and you're going and you know what's coming. You know, of course, there's often little surprises where something flips it around, but that just makes it even more exciting, right? That it
You're
goes
always
that way.
hoping that the good guy's going to swing it around somehow, right?
Yes, you do.
Are they going to get it? Is this the time that they switch this around, right?
Yes, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
it's exciting. Wow. Well, I was going to call you Becky.
That's
Well,
Becky.
Becky.
Becky and I are one and the same. It's very
Yeah.
hard to tell the difference most days.
Yeah. Oh, Nicole, I just hope a whole bunch of people who maybe didn't know much about this before, I hope that they come. And I just want to say too, I love, you're a powerful woman. And I love that you're a powerful woman. And I love that you go out there and you're strong and you're confident. And little girls that are watching and little boys that are watching can see women are strong. Like, women are competing against men. Everybody's getting tossed around. It's equal. It's really, really, I just love that. So I think that it's a really great message for youngsters, seeing women and men compete, both being strong. Nobody's being catered to or anything like that. There's equality, strength. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's probably the most important thing to me is showing up in that ring and letting kids see. I was the little girl that was a little too tall, a little too big. I was taller than all the boys until teenagehood.
Right.
And showing them that powerful isn't wrong, powerful isn't different. It's who we are, right? And that's how we're born into this world, and it's how we operate in this world, and it should be celebrated. Nobody's ever going to use the word dainty with me. I was talking about that with my husband. I was like, I used to dream of being called dainty, and these days I'm owning that, like, dainty isn't what's going to be used for me, but so many other words will be. Powerful, right?
Yes.
Feisty, and all of those sorts of things. And it's so important to me to show the little ones in the crowd that that's what we can do.
Yes. Oh, that's a great message. I love that. I love that so much. Wow, I can't believe this has gone by so quickly. Nicole, thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming and sharing a bit about what it is that you're doing and how you got into it, and just this great message for young people. I think it's just awesome. I can't wait to go back again and see, it's the next time, and go hoarse even more than I normally am, and scream and yahoo. That was great. So what I'm going to make sure that I do is I'm going to make sure that everyone knows how to get a hold of you. They know how to get a hold of the 365 website. I'll be sharing all of the upcoming shows that you have when we do post this. This is going to be in a few weeks from now. And I will make sure that everybody knows how to get a hold of you, because I am thinking there's going to be a couple of young women who are going to go, wait a second, I didn't know this was a possibility.
Yeah. And we need more women. There's only 3 of us on the island. So we're standing toe to toe with the boys because they're the only ones who will come out and play with us. So
that's right.
Awesome. And women's wrestling is on the rise, and I think it is an important message to share right now. Right now, especially an important message to share when we're talking about body positivity and loving yourself and being all of who you are at all times, right?
Yes.
It's so important to just be able to stand out there and claim your space.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, well, Nicole, Becky, all of you, thanks so much for being here. And this is Allie and Find Your Joy. And thanks so much for coming out and listening to us today. Find your way to a wrestling match. I promise you won't be disappointed. Take good care and do know that you are loved. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you found a piece of your joy in this episode, I would love to hear about what came up for you so that we can continue to grow the impact of this show. Thanks again. See you soon. And remember, find your joy.